what we're talking about. Oh, this got a couple of things. There we go. There's link. Mute this tab. Okay, there we are. I see myself.
And we're live. Yep.
Okay, so no, so we're not. So like, fortunately, no, like listening to like MLK, a shot of liqueur, and like Sylvia Rivera, and like that bit from like Doctor Who. Hello, everyone. Right now at the Alchemy bench, it's like me, a relax and like it's vacationing somewhere in the who's clean as well too. So I'm a clean commie, and John Brockman the cat as well. Isaiah Taylor probably be joining us as well, but like let me also like say hello to Mithra, hello to Contact Fresh, hello to Vicious Heretic, and there's Isaiah. And now that'll give me a chance to like share to the links to like all the places that we're going live. So how are you doing, Isaiah?
I'm good. This time I'm not too stoned enough that I can now join you. But hold on.
You're not too stoned enough, but you're going to remedy that, sir, to get at least a little stoned?
No, but these are the gummies that I use.
Oh, okay. I haven't tried any edibles, actually. I'm not opposed to, like, trying edibles, but, like, yeah, I haven't tried any edibles.
Yeah, you know, it's pretty good. You all, so with considering how like powerful the dosage of these were, I took one whole one and it messed me up for like a whole day. I don't want to do that again. That wasn't.
Yeah, you know what? I remember like around the time that like not only Washington State but also Colorado kind of like legalized weed. There was a increase in like the dogs and dogs being like sent to the vets because of a overdose of like a pot of weed because like careless owners were just like left their edibles out on the counter. There were special brownies on the counters for the dogs or the cats to like eat as well too. So like the chocolate and the brownies is bad for dogs anyway. It's probably bad for cats too. So it's just like. But yeah, that's one thing you got. Like, if you are a pet owner, that also it takes in like edibles. Where be careful of that. Current events, politics.
So I am now 24 pages into my moth story.
Nice.
Or screenplay.
So do you feel confident about that?
Sorry.
You feel confident about that? You feel like you like what you have done so far, right?
Yeah, from what I know, yeah, absolutely.
Good. Hey, I hope it goes well for you. How's everyone doing in live chat? I think I did like center there. So one little place co-host is where John Parman. How are you as well?
I'm doing fine. Sitting here eating my grits.
Ah, I see. I never had grits. I know it's a southern thing though.
It is. Mm-hmm. It is. Southern thing. I had grits the other day.
Okay, so like, how would you describe grits to someone who never had it?
It's like
it's oatmeal made with corn instead of oats.
Yeah. It's like the corn sperm. You're eating just corn.
That's so okay. You hear it right here. Grits, it's corn sperm.
Well, actually, so funny enough, when I was actually in school in like science class, they told us that that a plant's ovaries was its fruit, which kind of makes sense because
that's true.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Yeah, so, pumpkin's a dry ovary.
So it is kind of weird eating fruit now.
Yeah, it would be one of that instead.
You're eating the tree's nuts, essentially. Well, no, actually, they're not nuts, because
it's okay. So when you're eating the vegetables, you're actually eating the like sperm of the vegetables, as it were. But when you're eating fruits, then that's where you're like, I'm doing okay. Still have like bills like hanging over my head, but nothing like it. Turn off like right now. Okay, yeah. So Joey was like remind me to like once I'm done sharing around the links to everywhere. See how to share around the links to the discords. I'm going to like share your links into the live chat as well. I also should like share them on social media again, just to like increase visibility as well too. So let's see, current events and politics. There it is. And like, how am I doing? I'm doing all right. I'm on my new PC now. It's a bit of story about that. Um,
Well, you got
trying
a new PC.
yeah, I decided to like actually just like call it just like started to spend money on it as well. But like I'm
Well,
spending.
you're a communist. Why do you want to get money on a new PC? No, I'm being
I know you are being funny because like it's yeah, it's like I'm an anarchist. I have a smartphone. It's just like okay, you tried to live in this world without a smartphone. Honestly, corn grain, not the vegetable, so it's not sperm. Okay, that's a good point. Like contact crunch. Let's see.
Well, I mean, to be fair, we all have to find like none of us can like excuse ourselves fully from it. Unfortunately,
We have to participate in the system of capitalism in order to survive under the capitalism. Yeah.
but it's
Uh,
like
I'm an
it's
environmentalist. I have to own a car.
yeah.
but see, it's. But here's the thing. I guess it's like we are spreading communist propaganda under a capitalist system. So we're using all their like tools to like spread our message. So it's a win-win in a way.
It's many well that's like many bread tubers as it were. No, the ones that were actually legitimate anarchists about are making content on like YouTube as it were. They kind of like say like whenever they're on like Facebook, YouTube, or all those any like of course for profit websites, they say we're an enemy territory as it were.
But you
And
gotta remember the whole socialism versus capitalism thing is nothing more than like the division of property at the end of the day. That's what it is. It's because if you're a socialist, you want everyone to have something, whereas if you're a capitalist, you only want a select few to have stuff or to have more than
that
their fair share. That's essentially what it always has been. I've always looked at it as an extension of like colonialism, the debate between colonialism, because if you've ever noticed during the Cold War, it was like the Western, like northern countries who were trying to determine the fate of like everyone in the geopolitical South. So Africa, South America, Southeast Asia, and of course, if you're a colonized people, like I guess if I would have been, it's like,
or like Joey, it's just heretic.
or Joe, it's like, would you want to be under like a Western style government, which still is exploitative, or do you want to be under a quote unquote communist government that's still exploitative, but they just do it in a different name? That's kind of the way I see it.
Let's see. Hold on, wait a minute. Okay, there we go. That I was like in Discord servers, like, wait, what's the right channel for like a self promotion? Okay, there we go.
Stumped the panel, haven't I?
Well, no, it's just like I'm like focused on like doing something else as well too. But like, I mean, what's the difference between like left and right? It's like it's always been like left and right politics. Is that like right wing politics has always been like they think that like it's okay for like power and wealth to be like in the hands of the very few as it were too. Well, it's like left wing politics. It's always been like that the power and wealth should be distributed equitably amongst everyone. Again, I didn't say equally, but equity as well, or is like because like it's people kind of confuse this as well. They think that like socialism or communism or what Karl Marx wants was like equality, and that's not entirely achievable. Depends on what you mean by equality as well. But what Marx did want was equity, or said that he wanted was like equity as well, where everyone is like, and and what we kind of like strive for is so at least for everyone to like at least make sure to have the basic needs in order to thrive. I don't say the basic needs in order to thrive. Get everything that they wanted to like thrive as well too. And then after,
you gotta remember too, conservatives are also like kind of supporters of social Darwinism. the survival of the fittest.
When you say kind of, you mean exclusively?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, they don't really want people like us to have it because they think we didn't, I guess, earn it or something. I don't
Yeah.
know.
No, they seriously, because right bringers as fascists seriously do believe in like the hierarchy that like the people who are successful did it because they pulled themselves up by the bootstraps or something like that. So it's like if someone is not successful, then like they deserve it in some way. They were like
Yep.
they pissed off God in some way, or just like, or they were just,
Or they're
uh,
genetically inferior.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Um, and it's kind of like with almost like with like evolutionary psychology. It's like they determine that like where we are right now is natural, and so they just like create all the things behind it, retconning and everything in order to like justify the current system. Evolutionary psychology. It's just like it's there's issues with psychology in of itself, and actually, I think many people that like have the subject to like the medical industry as it is they can definitely say there definitely are issues to have with the medical industry and psychology. Yes, it is too. Especially, it's just like if it is a suffering because of like a chemical imbalance, it can be definitely. There's definitely. I'm not gonna doubt that. I'm not gonna say that like no, there's no such thing as like depression or anything like that. Believers get some kooky ideas in their head. Yeah, exactly, like Joey. uh, but with how the medical industry again, I think actually context question like we mentioned this when like she was on as it were what the medical view of disability as it were, where it's like a disabled person is like broken and has to be made whole as it were. And what's most people's vision of like a person as whole as someone who can contribute to society as in work. And so yeah. Now I stumped the panel. I always like bring this up as a topic, as it were, and share links once it's done. Like they do the self promotes. Where's the self promote channel on this thing? I forgot where it was. There it is. Okay, that's what it was. It wasn't like self promote. It was like live streams. Anyway, excellent job to the writers their guild. They got what they wanted, almost all that they wanted.
Sweet.
That is good news.
That is nice because I am writing on my I don't know.
Your moth movie as well, and I hope that like goes well too. But like, yeah, so
I hope it goes well. I just don't know who to send it to.
I don't know anything about that. Like getting a script off the ground as well too, or like making a film. There's actually some YouTube like channels just all about that. Even like the pre-production and post-production sort of thing. It was like to actually be on the movie set and that sort of thing. So like, if I remember where to find those like channels, I'll send them your way as a because like yeah, it's tricky business in general to like make a movie because like requires a lot of people with a lot of their talents and everything to like you could collaborate into the thing. The medical motto hurts all people. Yeah, exactly. Contact friends. Thank you for the link.
I also it also depends on like the people that you know too, and
Fortunately, yes, in some cases,
you know.
because especially since like dude, like you get a movie made and distributed as well too. It does require uh people with connections and that sort of thing too. They contribute to society ideas ghastly. Not only does it exclude the disabled, but like it minimizes those who think I'm really important, like artists and musicians. Oh yeah, we talked about that like a lot on this like channel on this show as well because like again it was like the classic example, though, even regular people can like see and point out to why is this athlete, Alex Rodriguez is over that gets like $250 million a year, and yet like a teacher who you could argue is more important than Alex Rodriguez's work. But I say it's kind of like, well, the teacher provides like education like and guidance to like the students of like whatever like the thing publicity whatever thing they're teaching, and while it's like Alex Rodriguez, so you can have your opinions of Alex Rodriguez as well, or like baseball for sure, but like they can at least provide entertainment as it were. And there are I think both entertainment and like teaching is kind of important in like different degrees because we want to relax and have entertainment as well. But then also it's very important for like good of everyone in the society to have teachers, especially those who want to learn as well. But like the reason why like Alex Rodriguez is paid $250 million a year, or however he's paid now, if he's still playing baseball, honestly, I'm pulling up a very old example and realize that because like and hello Georgia B, but like it's because of the teams that determine that Alex Rodriguez is worth that much to increase their bottom line because he will help their teams like go to playoffs, such blah blah blah, and then again it's like there's as David Graeber it lies out that bullshit jobs is that as they people believe that like a nurse or a teacher or something like that doesn't need to be paid a lot to like do what they do because like why do you want to be paid more like because you're like a teacher, you're a nurse,
you're a glorified babysitter, blah blah blah.
There's also that, and there's also the like idea that like those who can't teach those who can't do teach, and so there's all those issues with that. But there's also the case where it's just like they believe that someone just like who is teachers should do that because they want to do that as well and not be paid for it. Because if they pay teachers well, they're going to get greedy people that will become teachers, which is them projecting, honestly.
I mean, that reflects the general trend in society that the more important the job is, the less it gets paid.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why we selected that as a default for our society.
Because the assholes who don't contribute anything are the ones who are in charge.
Basically.
Yeah. That's the thing, is that people in power determine that like corporate rewards should be worth a lot more, even though many of them, when they realize, well, also the assumption teachers are married, so don't need full income. Oh yes, contact crunch. Even yeah, joking on popcorn. Even Jay Leno, when he was growing up, he was like, remember thinking, oh my god, the teacher so-and-so is married? What? Because I bet actually there was a time where it was like improper for a teacher to be married as well and had to like keep their like private life private as well, which honestly they can like they keep it private if they want to as well, definitely. But like if they can't be like dating at all would be promiscuous, and oh my god, if they happen to like do a certain video or a photo shoot in order to get through college just one time and just find out as were, oh, but what if the children like to see that as were, why are your children look up porn on the internet first of all, which I would say at a certain point they probably will do that, and another point is just like why should
what about Isaiah and porn? Huh?
It's basically there's like I don't know if this is actually going to happen, but I want to doubt that it has happened. But basically, there's a lot of Puritans that have a problem if like a teacher, usually a female teacher too, because again, like a contest was pointed up, the assumption is that like many like femme folks that like are already married, and that's why they're teachers and don't deserve to be paid as much. But like it's often if like a femme teacher did porn in college or strip one time or did a photo shoot and have nude photos of herself on the internet, and again, let's remember sex works is work, so there's that. And they should not be teaching our children because think about the children sort of thing. It's pearl clutching. It's just all pearl clutching, honestly.
Honestly, fuck them.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Now that like I'm finally done sharing and promoting everything as well. But if they were unmarried, they don't need to live independently. So rules are saying they don't need full income without children, and either. Yeah, it's just like. I'm glad that like in like the current days this kind of changed, and actually like some teachers that have like how to say it. Some teachers that are polyamorous or like queer or something like that. Now that's a big thing for some circles is where they find out like a teacher is like gay or anything like that,
Mhm.
and it's just like okay. First of all, honestly, let's think back to like many of the kindergarten teachers that we have, many of the male teachers. I know it's a stereotype, and never many like men teachers as well that weren't gay as well. But think of like a lot of kindergarten teachers that have been men. I met many of them that weren't like gay as well too. Oh, that's probably a stereotype, and there are definitely exceptions to the rules and stuff like that. But like, yeah, that's something that my drama teacher said. Is just like you really want to ban gay men from being teachers, and yet you should really look at the majority of the kindergarten teachers you have. All right. So, oh wait, no, that's
No,
probably
who definitely gets paid too much? Preachers.
Yes.
I'm gonna be honest. I didn't know if that was even a job to be a pastor.
You did get paid. I don't know
Not
if you
all
get
of
paid
them
taxes.
are full-time, employees of the church. Depends on the church, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean that's like I don't know. Yeah, definitely in my church, it was like the baskets that they will just hand around too. So they were expecting people to just like drop like money into those baskets as it were. So and that's how those churches like get paid as it were. They all ask for donations as well. But including a lot of televangelist churches and like other churches that like ask for like donations as well, so that some of those preachers, as it were, those big churches can like then buy a private jet with cash twice and flex that way.
How much is a private jet?
I have to look it up. Yes. But first of all, the Joyfire Lame Deer's links is right there. I did not pop out the chat, or maybe I did. I just like I did. It's just like for some reason it's on. Oh yeah, that's right. I'll refresh it. It's worth it. Okay, well, non-denominational or Baptist practices are often overpaid. Yeah, I can believe that. So yeah, there's all the links for Joyfire Lame Deer, who's like still have bills hanging over their heads and stuff like that. But thankfully, right now, nothing is turned off. So I hate how like many of us are like burned in with a hammer. How? Wait a minute, burned in with a hammer? Lucidia, tell me, what kind of hammer do you have? Do you have a fire enhanced hammer or a fire enchanted hammer? Because that would be awesome. Just hammer away and burn the things down. Yes, I'm all for this. Also, please drop the links down to like for Phoenix is where they've like they talk to me actually quite a bit often, and they in case like they're not here, they wanted me to like share their links as well too, and as always as well, and then also don't forget to like our friend Jordan Roberts as well. Oh, that's right, I forget. Well, okay, there we go. I was able to count the piece of the word. It is also Indigenous Heritage Month as well. I have not prepared anything for like Indigenous Heritage Month as well, but like keep in mind, no, not Indigenous Heritage Month. Hispanic Heritage Month. My apologies. What's wrong with me?
Well, you're talking about the Hispanic Heritage Month for some reason. I mean, I get that you could have a munch during, the Hispanic Heritage Month.
Oh, Joe Austin? Oh, yeah. The top 10 American pastors with private jets. It's what Jesus would do. Have a private jet, this word. Again, it's easier for a camel to pass through the eye of the needle than for a rich man to go into heaven. They always forget that part because they pick and choose what they want. Nom nom nom. Oh yeah, but like the writers' strike. Yep. There's they successfully got pretty much most of them on. There's a summary of like what they get. A base increase in pay, a minimum increase. That's like good. They also got like minimum increase for like health and pensions contribution rates as well. That's good as well. Something that like Verna of Console Geeks has mentioned in their latest video on that is that they also got a minimum staffing requirements as well too. They scale it though, so like if a streaming series or show has only 6 episodes that were the minimum staffing requirements for the writers' room is just 3 writers as were. But if like the show is going to have 13 episodes, then the minimum staffing requirement for that kind of show is 6 writers to work, but then 5 between like 7 and 12. And so like they do scale it up as well too. And that was like one of the key things that is like it's actually honestly important to look at. Well, some Hispanic people can be indigenous. You're absolutely right. Like Joan Dupree and like Joanna Roberts is like Hispanic and indigenous on her mother's side too. So like definitely. So when mad people say, go back to Mexico, it's like, dude, I'm from here. You're in Texas. Come on. Don't you realize that the border crossed us. The United States of America landed on us as well. Or they were conquered and then forced into it as well, too.
You were enslaved to come here, too.
Yeah, exactly. Why are those people here? It's like, okay, for indigenous people, you're on their land. And for the black people, we enslaved them. But like white people, some white people don't like to think about that as well.
See, but this is the problem. Whenever I hear people like complain about America becoming not white in the next 40 years, it's like, well, that's not our fault. This is what happens when you colonize and enslave other people.
Yep.
What do you think was going to happen?
And of course, all they're really saying is that they're terrified that we will be treated the way we've treated everyone else.
Okay, why would we want to do that? Why would we want to do that? I don't want to do that.
As they assume that like they can't imagine that like non-white people are like better than white people. Honestly, no one ever excuse like Nazis for being bright. There's that as well, but it's just this weird thing is that, as I said many times before, Nazis.
I call them the National Christian Party, the
Nazis.
Well, they definitely, I think they're very proud of their God thing as well, because the godless communists and that sort of thing. It's just like, yeah. So it's like, oh yeah, another thing, a big thing about like that like the writers got in the agreement that they have, and basically like the studios just all okay for like to most of the things that the writers want, is also the terms of like AI. So it's like AI cannot be used for as a source material, and AI generated the thing. They I'm trying to remember what the Virna said. It's AI can be used in the process, but the thing is, in order for like AI to be used in the process, in the writing this or kind of like get an outline or get like an idea, kind of like sort of thing, and something like a example of lore and that sort of thing too, is that like both the studios and the writers have to agree to that. They agree to use AI generated stuff for supplementary stuff, not like anything major as were, or so it's just like. You can still have that argument about like using AI for creative processes too, and you can critique like the use of AI in creative processes as well too. But like if on the project, but the studios and the writers agree to it, I think that would be like fine as well too. But yeah, it's just like the big thing is just like don't credit the AI with like whatever it is you're writing, and then have like a writer just like touched up as it were too. No, you're not going to avoid that. Oh, but like another big thing, I think this. I agree with Verna that this is the biggest thing is where there's a lot of other points about the AI thing that they have like covered as where, but it's like that's the big strokes is where they can't just use AI as a source material and other things like that, and like it's only for minor things in the process, and like both parties have to agree to it. But bonuses now, the streaming services have to disclose at least to WGA of the numbers, the viewing numbers that they're getting, and then if the show is termed to be a success, the writers will get bonuses if the show is a success. And in order for like the writers to get those bonuses of the success of like the thing, hey, Kirok, is that it has to be the streaming services have to disclose the numbers to the writers, at least. I'm not sure if they have to disclose it publicly, but at least like they definitely have to disclose it to the WGA. And so that's big because like most people like don't know. The streaming services never tell us the numbers of anything, honestly, unless it's like a huge success and it's like, oh, look at these numbers here, so worth that. But for the most part, so like we don't not know of like how many people are viewing like the Squid Games, or like how many people are viewing Stranger Things or something like that. and maybe it's like a really successful show, then Amazon would tote about the numbers they get of viewership for like Good Omens. But other than that, you just never know. But now with this like forcing the give everyone hyperallergenica flowers. Thank you, Lascivious. Thank you. Oh wait. I have my flower right here. There you go. Let's see. Kira, like I said, I'm here. Sorry, I'm running late. I'm done with like a big cookout with my neighbors and stuff the entire earth now. Kira, Kira, don't feel sorry because you're missing either my streams as it were or this show as it were. All right, because like you know what, no one's required to watch us. I thank you for everyone who's watching us, but no one's required to watch us. I mean,
I'm watching and participating while I write my script.
Yeah, I can do other things right now, but kind of like I focus on like that. I've been suffering from a cold and it sucks. It's kind of I've been sneezing a lot, but again, like I said, I got a new tower PC came in on Thursday, and I had to like. My room's still a mess. It is still a mess, and I had to like clean it up as word. And fortunately, it's like I gotta like get like the IKEA link as well too, so I can show you what the kind of desk it is. But like, yeah, I have a computer desk I got from IKEA. It's actually easy to find because like there's not that many computer desks that the IKEA has, and so I found the exact model. And so they have this like little wooden hutches like underneath, or just like this. Okay, here we go. I'll put the link into the live chat. That's the exact computer desk that I have. And so you can see, you see in the example photo that they produced that there is like those like kind of ridges underneath us where it's meant for. This is where your tower PC goes as well too, and that worked great for my very old PC and the other PC that's right over here. This tower PC is too tall. I'm not gonna try to fit it underneath there. So right now it's like sitting on the floor. And it's like fine as it is. But like now I just put the waistband, my waistband right there, like where those hutches are, where the tower pieces usually go. But like in order to like clean, but in order to make room for the new PC and take out the old PC as well, I had to clear out a lot of stuff and get rid of a lot of stuff, and that kicks a lot of the dust around. And I'm allergic to dust bites too, so I was like sneezing like on Thursday night and then Friday day all day, and I'm still like running nose and sneezing as is. So there's that. That's why I'm suffering. I'm suffering because of my own filth and my own mess. But so on this PC, I thought that like I got a brick or a dead on arrival PC on Thursday when I just like plug everything in and turn it on, and nothing was happening. Maybe I was way too impatient to like wait for my PC to boot up, and it just didn't boot up fully as well too. But also I kind of like what I finally did is like took out the 2 RAM sticks that I have that I got from my friend, actually JMJ. And like I booted up again, it seemed to work just fine. So maybe the RAM sticks I have are not compatible, or I plugged it in wrong as well too. I will just like figure it out and try to like put it in there right now. But in case anyone's wondering, it's new PC's 13th generation Intel i5. The graphics cards, GPU, the NVIDIA 3050 RTX, and then I got 60 gigs of RAM right now, but like if I got the right RAM sticks, I can increase it to 32 at least. So far it's running smoothly after again finally boot up and all, and I'm gonna be happy with it. Not gonna stream. I don't think I'm gonna be streaming today because I think I need to set up everything on OBS again because it starts from scratch, and it's it'll be a pain because it's work. I don't want to like do work. And I don't want to clean up my room, honestly, because that feels like work. It feels like a chore. I just like want to play video games as work. But so far, it's actually been running like Fortnite smoothly on DirectX 12, and so I'm happy about that. Well, I was struggling with like insomnia. People kept recommending lavender oil. I got tired of like pointing out massive asthma attacks. It's like sleep. Well, how does everyone get sick by October? I think it's because the change in seasons is one of those things. Is that just like common? I guess that's always been like an answer. Change the season, change the temperature, as we're and you're used to. I'm kind of like randomly wearing like a summer clothes right now in a Hawaiian t-shirt, as it were, with another shirt underneath. And if you're used to just wearing summer clothes, and then suddenly the weather changes, as it were, and like no, you gotta wear winter jackets now, or at least autumn jackets, as it were, and you're not, then yeah, you can like get colds. I guess I don't know. Anyway, what else has been happening?
Not much. I've been looking through Reddit and I haven't really seen any news.
I should mention about the strikes as well. The SAG-AFTRA is still on strike, and so maybe with like
So Gavin Newsom tried to fuck over the unions. It's the governor of California.
not surprised.
Basically, he vetoed a bill that would have given striking actors and writers unemployment checks.
Why the fuck did you do that?
Because it would have raised their debt from $18 billion to $20 billion for the unemployment stuff.
Okay, like, but I hate the idea of like governments being in debt and that sort of thing too, or it's like, oh no, we have to like run the government like a business, like a family home and something like that. We got to balance the checkbooks.
Well, I mean, the federal government doesn't have to do that. The federal government has, full control over the currency, so it can do whatever the hell it wants. But state governments do have to balance their budget because they can't just print new money.
Right. Ignore that. I just like that was from like Fat Fingers or like Misclick or like Butt Dialing. I like the like October, like the veil is thin, and I like making like the cis that's nervous. Yes, exactly. Repubs are struggling with the new Fetterman's dress code. I don't know what to refer to, Mithril, honestly. I'm lost. It's like oh yeah, that's right. And speaking of strikes and solidarity workers as well, I think the really Brianna Ruiz, the trans medicals creep is like a pure links of DMs. I did like Brianna Ruiz, maybe because she was the victim of Gamergate as well too. And what until that, what I've seen of her, she seems kind of cool. But like, oh, that's disappointing. Well, not that like she was a hero of mine or anything like that. I don't. Oh, wait. So like, what's with the gun pictures? Did I miss a time? I don't know what you're talking about the gun pictures. Machine guns, submachine guns. I don't know what you're talking about, Kieran.
That's on the YouTube feed. One is a machine gun. The other one says submachine gun. Squeeze my trigger harder. Slap me, mommy. I'm a dirty little gun. Sub machine gun.
Ah, yes. It's a meme. Why do we need machine guns? I don't know.
For the coming revolution.
Yeah, there's that. The coming revolution as well too. I bet like the Spanish anarchists did use some guns in order to protect themselves because they were literally fighting fascists as well.
Mm.
Well, maybe when I say
war.
well, yeah. Well, maybe I say we'll have the money if they didn't fly those damn wild jets over our house during the air show. There's that too. I do enjoy a good. Wait a minute, have I ever been to an air show? Ever been to Blue Angels? They're always like Blue Angels always like visit Seattle for like Seafair, and that's about it. But like, yeah,
I've been to a few air shows. They're pretty cool.
I may have been to an air show or two.
Huh?
I may have been to an air show. Yeah.
And many of like my friends are actually also like the folks who are like who are like fans of aviation. Actually, like our friend like Lin Wu, she plays a lot of like Ace Combat as well too, and because like this. Yeah, because of the special interest of like the airplanes and machines and jet fighters and that sort of thing too. She also loves like racing games too. Oh, also, like Isaiah Taylor. So yeah, you weren't here like last week, something like that. Was there anything that was like discussed last week as a word that you'd like basically want to join in discussion on, or like give your piece on?
So, what was this whole thing between you and Kirok 2011 about the police? What was that all about? I heard it was
Uh,
crazy last week.
I hate air shows. It's really painful for me. That the sound that is something about like your yeah. So okay, so last week not only was like the 250th episode of the Such Justice Alchemy, so there's that. Bring back transsexual as a term, non-binary is stupid, dress normal to be skinny. Wow. Okay, fuck me on the roof for making statements like that. Uh I'm assuming that's what, like the context that you're referring to. Context, right? Is that's what Griot Rue has like said in DMs. Like that's disgusting. Anyway, so yeah, so last week was not only the 250th episode of Just the Alchemy, but also was like the September Patreon hangout with Steve Shives. And yeah, last week the topic of police came up as well too, because like two people, Serious Mind and I knew the person that joined the call, Edie, a black woman, as well, as far as I can see, a black woman, as far as I tell. They were both just like sharing their experiences with the police and how like both of them kind of like don't feel safe outside of their home as well too. A Serious Mind even said that like when the pandemic happened and like people had to like stay in place and stay at home as well too, he actually felt comfortable for the first time in a long time. It was Brianna Wu. She was one of the women that was forced out of her homes during Gamergate. She's a game developer, or was a game developer. She also ran for Congress as well too. That's the only things that I know that's a note of Brianna Wu as well too. So I kind of like sympathize her for being a victim of like a massive harassment campaign and receiving death threats from Gamergate as well too. But that still does not excuse like wishing the term transsexual become back. Why do people cling to that term first of all, and then say like non-binary is stupid? It's like, yeah, no, fuck that. It is. But so yeah, so like on the Seashore and Patreon hangout, which went for like a 40 minutes over an hour, because like as Serious Mind and Eddie were talking about like their experiences with the police and why they don't trust the police as well too. Kirok in the Zoom chat, like I'll type in our Zoom chat right now. You're probably aware of it, but it's like in our private chat in Zoom, Kirok was saying, and like in Serious Mind was at first was not gonna like disclose who was saying it, but Kirok said if people just comply with the police, there wouldn't be any problems. Just saying. And again, 40-minute conversation about that because we point out examples of like George Floyd complied the entire time.
Philando Castile.
And Philando Castile, Steve Shives brought up that as an example too. Even Kirok kind of like outed himself as being the person by saying that's just one example for George Floyd. But Philando Castile is another example where he is a legal gun owner. You can have your opinion about guns, but Philando Castile did all the right things to legally own his gun, and he was complying and doing what he's legally obligated to do, I bet, and disclose that he has a gun to the officer that pulled him over for a traffic stop or just a broken taillight or something like that. And just we know the interaction between the officer and Philando Castile was recorded on like Facebook Live. The clandestine is just saying, "I have a gun. Don't reach for it." The officer said, I'm just telling you, I have a gun. Don't reach for it." As it were, and then he got shot and killed. They shot 7 times, 5 of them hit, and Philando Castillo died later that night. Okay, thank you, Contact Wrench, for that link of like the DMs explained. Watch that later because, like, yeah, I'm just like. People can have their debates of like is it right to like share like private like DMs and stuff like that, but I don't mind in this case because like it exposes like, someone for being a terrible person, and yeah, or if like someone to like get like unwanted DMs of like sexual advances as well. No, that's right. I'm for that person to just like say, okay, look at this person is doing. I got the DM from like Peter Coffin like one time. It just like, oh wow, it's just like, man, they slid in my DMs to be aggressive all because I was defending social justice team at the time. Oh, she's a big come with Bosch and Destiny this week. Speaking of like Bosch and DMs, that's where it's like my tweet about like the DMs that like Poppy. No, actually no, I did. No, I did see like the DMs shared between Poppy and Bosch that like where Vosh was doing his sexual misconduct as well too. And that's the evidence that like Vosh is a sex pest, in my opinion. My medical papers has me as a transsexual. I guess it's still a medical term, but every time I see it, it annoys me. Yeah, Georgia Pete. Yeah, and it's just like, yeah, I don't know. So back to the topic of here, the police. So that was pretty much it. That was the main topic. Or discussion that I had with like Kirok and I as well too. We mentioned a bit of it on like Social Justice Alchemy last week, as like Joe McClory was there in the Patreon hangout, and it was also here in the last week's episode as well too. But that's pretty much kind of like the gist of it as well too. Kirok, they believe that police are necessary to against the criminals, and yet so like one in that, at least in that moment, it's. Let's see. I'm pretty sure not my. Okay, yeah. Yeah, Kira, and I can also agree from our DMs as well. You have done nothing sexual as well, but yeah, that's pretty much just if it's where Kira kind of defends the police, because like yeah, he believes that cops are necessary. So I say, Tara, with all that, what's your opinion on cops that like should one just comply?
I would probably say, I mean, I comply as much as I can. I mean, but there's no guarantee that even if you comply, they won't harm you. That there's no guarantee in that.
Yeah. And as I said,
Like it's not like, if someone like said stop the car, like it's not like I'm going to stop the car. I'm not just going to just drive off or something. But just because you put your hands up doesn't necessarily mean that they're gonna like be peaceful with it. You also got to remember too, this is a country. I don't know if Kirok understands this, but this is a country of like 400 million guns. So every cop is like on like red alert, thinking everyone has a gun. So they always
Well, the thing is, cops behave pretty much the same way everywhere, even when they don't have the U.S.'s rabid gun culture. That's just an excuse. They're trigger-happy assholes. Cops are just assholes.
I know in Iceland they haven't shot someone in like a decade, right?
But also, okay, yeah, clear. The body cams was introduced after the Ferguson uprising in 2015 after the shooting of Michael Brown, who again had his hands up. You just obey, I won't abuse you, but systematically doesn't make modern policing right as well too. But that's kind of like my philosophical like problems, issues with the fact that like just comply and this like hierarchical power of domination will work fine for you too. Because like, how is it that we are complied to this? If you are a public figure, you have DMs that directly contradict your public policies. I don't have much sympathy for you. Exactly, context, Reg. Exactly. Which is why I don't have the problems of in case of like Bjorn Wu or other figures where there are DMs being exposed. I mean, hell, politicians. Anthony Weiner, remember him? He was also been doing sexual misconduct. So like having those DMs being like exposed is just like, no, it's not a problem as to work too. It was just since the person who received those like unwanted like DMs were like a shot of like the man in his underwear as were, those be aroused. Is that like he was on the recipient of those photos was uncomfortable with that, and imagine that brought him down. Anthony Weiner like stepped down as a politician all because of that controversy.
If only Matt like, Gaetz had principles, he would.
Yeah. Who's name? Isaiah Taylor.
Yes.
Now the problem with like body cams like Kirok, there's been many times that like police officers just simply shut it off, or like, oh geez, around the time of this like excessive force use and something like that, the body cameras simply have been like turned off or something like that too.
And there's been lots of cops that have had engine trouble, meaning that they stop their car and then put the hood up so that the car's dash cam can no longer record what they're doing.
Yeah. We're hoping that the cops will be the ones that will comply that will just comply with like the body cams and the dashboards, which is actually something that's like a Serious Mind and like a Edie, no Serious Mind talk pod on the Patreon hangout. I'm getting a dash cam for himself as for protection, so that he has a recording of like the consequence this conduct.
Yeah. But man, I seen I missed the show yet last week. I did watch Barbie last Friday though. Last
Oh,
Saturday, excuse me.
Enjoy it?
I loved it. I mean, I gotta say, Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling are some of the most hottest white folks on the planet.
Or, as some
there's
would put it,
that.
they're very symmetrical.
I,
That's the only white part I can get behind. Ryan Gosling. Oh, that was a joke. Okay. Yeah, I know. Sometimes being autistic, we make kind of like crass jokes that are supposed to be funny, but they're not. So
it's okay.
I won't say that again.
I don't know. Actually, I was just like reading the chat that like as when you said that joke, so that's my face was like that as well too. And I agree, Lucy. The accounts are also like occupiers of force. They should not be like treated like otherwise. Because definitely the cops, or some of the cops, or a lot of the cops, they do actually see themselves as like they are at war with the citizens as well.
Yep.
Mm. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out like Kerouac's statement about like Michael Brown, because like I don't know if that was the case that Michael Brown was actually reaching for the cops' gun.
Pretty sure he wasn't. That's just cops making up shit because they love to test a lie.
Mm-hmm. Because the problem is with like and I think like Sean actually like also mentioned this in like the killing of Trayvon Martin. Yes, Trayvon Martin was not killed by a cop, but yet the fact is Trayvon Martin's dead. We do not have his side of the story whatsoever, so we have to just rely entirely on the person that's alive for their side of the story and how they are telling it. George Zimmerman this word too. And you can say the same thing for like any time that like a cop did like kill someone, like with Michael Brown, for example. And also, it's like how like after during the grand jury of like the Michael Brown cases, where all the police officers of the Ferguson like police department, 93 of them were like white, or like a lot of them, almost all of them were white, while Ferguson, Missouri was 93% black population as well too. And I think like the problem was also with the cops. It's like the cops also do not live where they work as well too. So they are kind of like in a different community as well, working as well. And so that's why I did have no connection to that community as well. That constitutes the issues too. Contemporaries videos of Michael Brown doesn't like support that reporting. The reports too. Yeah. I was at a bus stop the other day, and 4 cops like showed up and harassed a homeless person, taking their basket away. Hey, well, this like Karen Dubrow was like following harassing the homeless person. It's been it'd be a lot different if police had held each other and self to like higher standards than minorities, but they don't. They cover up for each other's corruption too. The thin blue line of silence is another thing too. Kirak is for again the few good cops. They are often when they are going to like speak out against their fellow brethren as the cops for being bad cops for excessive use forces, they will get like dead rats showed up on like their patrol cars as well too. They will get like harassed by all of the other cops for being a good cop trying to report on the negative behavior of their like brethren as well too.
They'll get the worst possible shifts. They'll get left out in the cold if they ever call in saying they need help with anything. It's just cops are bastards.
So they treat their own kind just as worse,
Only if they try to do the right thing.
So the good cops are usually also the ones that get fired for trying to like hold their other cops accountable. Yeah, okay, and I'm not surprised by that like context. Right, Zimmerman was a wannabe cop, but he failed his like repeated psychological tests as well too.
And the guy who shot I can't remember his name. The 12-year-old kid who was playing in the park.
Tamir Rice.
That cop had been let go from another job for repeated violations. another cop job. So he shouldn't have been a cop. So that
Mhm.
was in Cincinnati, I think.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah, and that's the other thing. It's just like Demir Rice was just playing a part. I bet he was complying. Breonna Taylor was.
he didn't even have the chance to comply. They rolled up and they shot him within seconds.
Yeah. Breonna Taylor was asleep and didn't have a chance to comply as well, and she was shot dead in her sleep.
Well, they killed him just. That's terrible.
And again, it's like, what's the purpose of the police? It's not to protect us from the criminals.
It's to protect the criminals from us.
Yes, the criminals
Meaning
of
the
the
rich.
cap. Yes, exactly. It's also and also when you think about it as well, of the democracy as well. Democracy in this context in our like systems work is really actually the force of democracy that like imposes things as well too. Yeah, we can vote in one way, something like that, but like if the people in power just like don't like the way we vote or like to enforce the way we're voting, something like that, like being gay is illegal, something like that, then it will be like the cops who like enforce that democracy, enforce that law. I had a point
Frankly,
there.
our votes don't matter. Our opinions don't matter. All that matters is what the wealthy want. Studies have shown this.
We live in an oligarchy we have for some time. Hey, Joe McClary, how are you doing?
Hey, Joe.
There are definitely reasons to not like capitalism. None of it really has anything to do with being poor, but a lot of it has to do with just how like weirdly immoral it is in a lot of ways,
Mm-hmm.
or how it allows certain people to, I don't know.
It fosters the worst in us. I mean, remember, Southerners didn't own slaves out of the evilness of their hearts. They did it because it was wildly profitable.
Mm-hmm. The fossil fuel industry still exists and like it's destroying the environment, not because of their evil, cartoony Captain Planet villains, but because it's profitable to do so.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. It was like where was like going as well too. Kira, I'm just going to be suspicious of what cops say. Period.
Yeah. I mean, if you have him on tape firing the gun, then I'll believe it. But cops routinely lie. And prosecutors maintain a sort of, not a database, because they don't want to have any evidence that they know these cops are lying, but they remember which cops are really bad liars and make sure not to put them on the stand.
Kira, we don't need cops. We don't. You can point out the extreme examples of like incident that like you believe that it's like helpful for there to be like cops, but I want to like get to the deeper issues of why it's like why is that person like within a dangerous situation? Why was that person desperate to try to commit a crime or something like that? Or why it's like even like people being rowdy at a bar or something like that? Why are they being rowdy? What's going on in their home lives, their personal lives, or at their jobs?
And
too.
instead are pointing out the routine behaviors of cops toward unarmed people. You can always come up with the extreme cases, and there will always be extreme cases, but when the routine is just so much worse than the extreme, when we can't have cops.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Kirik, I know you're a firm believer in that, like, cops are necessary. I get it that I can never convince you otherwise. Don't think you can convince us otherwise either.
I wouldn't say I'm like completely against police in some situations, but I mean, I've dealt with cops before, and I didn't really see that they had my best interest at heart. Not from like a racial standpoint, but just like I just feel like they choose to I don't know, because like when a crime is committed, the cops come after the fact. It's not they don't come like they're not preventing the crime. They're coming trying to figure out who did the crime.
Mhm.
It's not really preventative.
You're right. Corruption is not rare with cops. It's the norm. Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
And
I mean, go ahead.
I brought up the topic because, like, Isaiah Taylor was like asking me before, it's like, what was the topic that was going on? And since like he's here or something like that, I was also wanting Isaiah Taylor to give a chance to like comment on the topic as well. That's why I did bring it up.
Yeah. I mean, from Baltimore to L.A., we've had multiple examples of police departments that have stepped sideways into institutional corruption, dealing drugs and putting people in prison unjustly, just on their own recognizance, let alone, talking about COINTELPRO shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
As the only thing that cops
Mostly-
do that we need to replicate would be like the investigation of antisocial activities after it has happened. Now, I agree, like Joe.
Mm-hmm.
Investigations would still be necessary, but the thing is, like, also how I view society in my ideal world, stuff like that. I'm the investigator. I do things to investigate. Here's my office. That's where Detective PI, that sort of thing. It's like he probably has a service, but like he's not going to do that like for like a 9 to 5 for 5 days a week or something like that. It'll be like something that will be there, and people will come to us like, "Oh, hey, David, as were you are an investigator, right?" So, oh, I do that occasionally. Yeah. Oh, this thing happened. Okay, I'll come there and take a look. That's work too. Like if I were own my business of being a bicycle repair person as well too, it would just be like, hey Jonathan, I got this bike, can you take a look at it? Oh, let me take a look at it. It's more like it's not showing up and clocking in for our 9 to 5 to like, here I am, I'm being the bootmaker or something like that. No, it's like when I want to do it, I will do it, or when I'm asked to do it, I will do it. And again, it's like I'm asked, and then I say sure, I mean, I have the time, so I go and do it. So that's why I don't view as like people are defined by their jobs of a streamer or an actor or an entertainer or a farmer or like a cook or like a restaurant person as well. No, they'll do it when they choose to do it, and then they'll fill the time how they want to as well. It's more like this come to the choice of that there as well. So definitely the investigators would be needed after the fact when there's a time for them to do it. The rest of like cops are forced to do or have to do it by society. It can be done like care workers, social workers, like people that train in like mental illness for people having like a disaster. It's all about care as opposed to like cops, where the cops are again like the city pointed out, maintain order. And what is that order? And who defines what is that order? Is not us. It is the rich.
Mm-hmm.
So like, so again, it's like the examples that can be implemented today of like what we brought up before, of emergency response forces or something like that. Can be like definitely a medical professional, or the ambulance, definitely fire departments will still keep those because they will need those again when it's like on the call. But then also like people who train in like mental illnesses, people who train in like de-escalating situations, like
Whereas cops routinely escalate situations.
Exactly. See, if cops didn't exist, if the exploitation continues, then we would have to like overthrow the bourgeoisie long ago. Yeah, exactly. My dad had both a prison chaplain and an ex-con. He used to like say the main difference between convicts and guards was the set of keys. Yeah, the police deliberately obstruct the capacity of the community to deal with the interpersonal materials problems within society. The order is the illusion of wellness and necessary for the system. Yeah, I think like Christian Williams laid that out in like many of his like work, like Our Enemies in Blue and like other. There's like essay I read in my stream a while ago. I should like really like post it back up on my YouTube channel and get back to that as well too. That's pretty much it. It's like the order is like set by the rich that like wants society to be pleasant, that sort of thing, and also
He wants the poor to be compliant.
Yeah, I mean the ugly laws, like Contest Rich has like linked us the ugly laws a lot of times too. So it's just that's kind of like the kind of order or the laws that cops sometimes enforce too. Ugly laws, which is anti-poor and anti-disabled.
Mm-hmm.
Does the end justify the means? What ends?
Under capitalism, the capitalists certainly have decided that yes, they do.
I mean, it's just like I don't know how to answer that question of like, does the end justify the means? What ends and what means? That's just a very big, vague question. I mean, the ends of like a peaceful society with the means of cops, and no, especially not how they as a society. This is not the fight. This is not Flight of the Navigator. Will be there will be no compliance. Flight of the Navigator. My God, that's a classic movie. I should really rewatch that. Underrated classic movie too. No, the in the means of cops are justified. They do and not help us generally or systematically. No, it doesn't. The police literally target my kind, and you have a lot of privilege to think that policing is somehow good. Means defines the ends. I can go with that. Yeah.
Police are there to enforce the negative peace, which is the absence of violence, rather than the positive peace, which is the presence of justice.
Yep, that's exactly what MLK they talked about, and he faced like police brutality too.
Oh yeah.
And I remember the break room when they were talking about similar size, and the whole time I was thinking, if I could punch two people in the face at the exact same time, yeah. The interesting conversations one has at like the workplace, and you are deciding, it's like, do I actually bring this up? Do I actually fight this? Do I actually engage in this conversation and taking the other side? The other side. If you have dehumanizing means, you have dehumanizing ends. You know what? That's a good point, Lucidia.
Because yes, the dehumanization is the point.
Mm-hmm. So yeah. What else is there to talk about? I don't know. We can go on this topic for quite some time as well too. And again, it's another case where still didn't prepare much for this show. Again, I'm just lazy.
So somebody posted a question in r/askphilosophy. Asking, why are so many philosophers Marxists? I'm an economics major, and I've been wondering why Marx is still so popular in philosophy circles, despite being basically non-existent in economics. Why is he and his ideas still so popular? Well, the reason he's absent in economics is because the far right have been funding economics schools for decades now to make sure that he disappears.
Yeah. The Koch brothers were very, very, very underrich. No, well, Janet Moyer has been pointing out the Koch brothers have done that in dark money for the longest time. It was very calculated as well too. Okay, so that and they played the long game. And so they're I think this even before Barack Obama, but
oh no, this goes back to the 1950s.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's when think tanks started to proliferate. It's when the millionaires and billionaires started to fund shares of economics and turn economics into a far right-wing shit show.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. I don't know why okay. Yeah, but it's let's see. Speaking of complete bullshit, does anyone else think Trump won't see actual jail time? I'll be actually surprised if Trump sees actual jail time as well too.
I don't think he will. Right now, he's the front runner in the Republican nomination.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to run, and I don't know if Biden can beat him a second time.
Yeah. It's yeah. The God anti-Fed coworker said, I'm slowly trying to get him to be anti-cop for the same reasons. Yep. Yeah. And it's it will any rich and powerful person actually be held accountable for their actions. It's just I will see it I'll believe it when I see it. And it's if he's running, yes, very possible that Trump will win. I was because it was possible for him to win in 2020, and he won in 2016, and so if it's running in 2024, yes, it's possible that he can win. I would wish that it is not the case as well.
I wouldn't say there's no way, Kirok. Biden is pretty goddamn unpopular.
Yeah.
This is a pretty dumb country that will elect him anyway. I mean, Trump, that is. So
Hmm.
I just don't know unless Gavin Newsom like steps in and tries to do something.
Honestly, I think that's probably what he's gunning for.
What about Bernie Sanders? I mean, this
I
is.
think he's old too.
Yep. I don't know if he'll run again. He might.
I'm
But
a, like, I'm gonna say, yeah, Trump could definitely be president again, but I'm not really certain. My question is, do American? I mean, maybe they do. Like, do they want 4 more years of this guy? Another 4 years of this guy? Like, do they want it? Maybe I don't know.
the white supremacists definitely do.
I was
Yes.
I was on Dusty Smith's channel a couple of days ago, and he was like worried that people were getting kind of like complacent with the
Mm.
polls.
That's that too. Assuming the country has actual authority to like elect anyone, yeah. The whole shit show of a system literally depends on people who excuse the corruption of authority.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's why I have the problem with the whole concept of like just comply and everything will be all right. Comply with God, comply with the king, comply with your boss, comply with the small business owner, comply with, and it's just like I think there's this is the way the backdoor Kamala Harris. Yeah, and some people also kind of like have brought that up. As like, oh, I think I was listening to the NPR politics podcast as well, and they bring up like, yeah, people, a lot of people's concerns like Joe Biden's age. For me, it's just like, no, I think like anyone that's concerned about Joe Biden's age would just know that like, well, Kamala Harris is literally a heartbeat away from the presidency, and I think most people, or at least liberals for sure, I don't mind Kamala Harris like presidency. I have my issues with Kamala Harris presidency, but it's just like it's a piss cocktail compared to a sit sandwich. Oh, I'm fine with Kamala Harris presidency over any Republican presidency.
I kind of wonder, saying of getting Kamala Harris in by the back door. I wonder if maybe Biden's going to resign for health reasons in the second half of his second term, so that Kamala Harris can get several like a year and a half of
Hmm.
in the White House under her belt, and then run for election herself.
She's not
That would
actually.
be an interesting thing. But honestly, I think that Joe Biden just thinks he deserves to be president. He's going to run out in 4 years, even though he's going to be the oldest president we've ever had.
Yeah, and it's like the topic is his age. It's like this was brought up on Steve Shaw's Ask Away last Friday, and I'm just not going to be in any. I'm not going to be for any restriction on age or someone's age, or even like put this restriction on like mental faculties either, because like if you impose any kind of like restriction like that, I'm just afraid that people are going to abuse that as well. It'll be like ages and like ableist to like restrict people as well too. Even though I can sort of understand like the people's concerns about like is the president well and that sort of thing too, but like I'm for bodily autonomy. So if like Biden wants to be president, then like I'm not gonna stop Biden from like being president. That'll be up to the voters to reelect him.
Mithril, yes, depending on when Biden resigned. If Biden left before the first half of his career was, or his second term was up, then she would not be able to run for 2 terms, just the one. Basically, the law is that if it's less than half, it doesn't count.
Yeah,
You round down. That's why Truman was able to run for 2 full terms after taking over for FDR.
makes sense.
Congress said that Ford could have run again, but he declined to do so.
Yeah. Yeah, Gerald Ford, the only president we never voted for.
Ask you guys a question.
Sure.
I guess we're changing topics.
Oh yeah.
Would you guys say 90s? I mean, I don't mean to, but would you guys say 90s nostalgia is uniquely an American thing, a Western thing, or a world thing?
I have
I'm
no
not,
idea.
I had to like go to like other countries and other cultures to see what nostalgia they have as well too. I watch quite a bit of anime, but like I don't. That's just like a small window into the pop culture of another country as well too. And
Oh, go
And
ahead.
honestly, I kind of think 90s nostalgia, unless you were a young child in the 90s, then that's mostly going to be a white thing.
yeah,
Yeah, it is. in a lot of areas, or like an American thing, because like I mean, no one ever like asked any Yugoslavs what were their feelings of the '90s, or any like Rwandans, if you know what I'm getting at.
Oh yeah. The
Mhm.
'90s can be a very different thing to compare it to like who were you talking to? Iraqis '90s. That's probably be
Mhm.
very different.
Yeah, or you can ask like some like Rwandans like. I didn't personally like the '90s. I was afraid of getting hacked to bits if I was like
Mhm.
Tutsi or something.
That '90s nostalgia is straight privilege thing. Hey, shit sucks. It's
Mhm.
But
up.
I would say it is a well. There are people who would say it is a white thing, but like if you were like a black guy living in like let's say South Central Los Angeles, I mean, there was all of that. So
Mhm.
Don't get me
Rodney
started on.
King.
Yeah, Rodney King. Yeah, the first viral video, and that was like on the '90s.
Mhm.
Don't get me started on the capacity conversation. It'll be a 3 hour show. Yeah, exactly. Context fresh. Where it's just like, even though like some people have like that conversation came up with like Biden and his age and stuff like that. It's just like no, that just
Well, I
again.
mean, look at what happened with Feinstein.
Oh, that's right. That's another thing that happened.
Yep.
Joanne Feinstein, senator from California.
California.
Yeah.
California. But,
As oh,
she was
and
in
that's
severe decline for months before that happened, and
yeah,
yet she stayed in office, and nobody could get rid of her.
yeah. RGB have like as well too. That conversation came
Well,
up.
she was still apparently mentally quite fit, but
Okay,
physically in serious decline for years.
yeah.
She should have
People,
retired during Obama's first term.
I agree there. As yeah, then, but like, why did Joe Feinstein or like RBJ stayed on? When it's like might have been beneficial to get someone else in at least at the time when they had a chance. It's like, Mitch McConnell is another good one too as well. Right
Hmm.
now, because like. I mean, even this Trump Thurman was like a senator for like how long, and like he was how old when he was like elected last time?
He
Is
was a nonagenarian. He first ran for Senate after his failed presidential run in 1948. So it would have been in 50, 52, or
you
yeah,
guys
54.
know Jesse Jackson wanted to run for president one time.
What's
who?
that?
Jesse Jackson.
Oh yeah, oh
Oh yeah,
he's run multiple times.
it is, but like he's also like being young and fit too as well too. Well, our
Yeah.
conversation is about like either elected officials or like running politicians that were a certain age, and like again the capacity like argument in the conversation. Yeah, contact friends if you on a future show as well too. You can definitely we can have that conversation. Absolutely, I'm up for that too. I'm up for you
Well,
to come back on the show if once you got like prepped for like that sort of thing too, if you want to.
hmm
Um, uh,
but honestly, I mean, take a look at most of the Republican Party. I would argue that they don't have the capacity just because they're fucking dipshits.
yeah,
Also
I would.
fascist.
True, yeah, yeah. I wouldn't want a law, but it would be okay if like parties had age barriers or some other qualifications. Well, interesting thing there is kind of like age barrier, but you had to be a certain age to be like a like the official to Congress and to Senate. You had to be 35 to be able to run for
Hmm.
president too.
25 for Congress, or for the representative, for the House, 30 for the Senate, 35 for president.
Yeah,
But honestly, the real barrier there is always going to be wealth.
yeah, exactly. Which is why most of like the people that like are in Congress and the Senate and like in House are whites and men and usually old and because they're rich.
Mhm.
Yes, you get
Honestly, I
whites.
just want to eliminate the presidency, get us
Yeah.
a single House rather than this bicameral bullshit, expand the membership to 10,000 at the federal level, and then choose them from the entire population at random. No more elections, so no more legal bribery that way.
So it's kind of in a way jury duty as well, which is like
Mhm.
interestingly
Well,
enough,
except the jury duty, you have the gatekeeping of the prosecutor, who has the
true.
ability to get white juries for black defendants. And you're right, Jordan
Yeah.
Joe P. The problem with nostalgia is that we don't focus on the bad things.
Yep. We only
But I mean,
focus
the
on
fact is that nobody really has nostalgia for the early '80s, right? That's when
yeah.
we had the crack epidemic, the AIDS epidemic. Reagan was busy dismantling everything. Urban blight was at its worst.
Nuclear war.
So when people focus on the '80s, they focus on the music, and that's really about it.
Yeah,
He-Man,
maybe,
Transformers.
maybe challenge the space shuttle.
Oh yeah,
Not Challenger exploding with the space shuttle in general.
yeah, exactly.
And don't forget, never gonna give you up. Never gonna.
Again, the music is worth too. And that's the thing. Whenever anyone selects nostalgia for, actually, interesting. Apparently, this is a phenomenon that some people can weirdly be nostalgic for a time or for a place they never visit or never exist as word. Yeah, capacity also some sort of civility barrier. My people are still judged by a bias as in
No,
as
by the
what-
Bureau of Indian Affairs.
Oh yeah, as whether or not we have capacity to own our own lands. Yeah, fuck that shit too. Again, there's like many additions like the peoples and like tribes and so on that are not recognized at all, and that's bullshit as well. Yeah, I bring this up every time I can because like the city of Seattle was named after the chief of the Doom Watch at the time, as were, and the Doom Watch is still trying to be recognized as a federally recognized indigenous tribe as well too. So it's like. White men take a lot of things as were. So.
Take your land, they'll take your kids.
Yeah, that was like. Speaking of like 90s nostalgia, that was still happening in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, speaking of the '90s, they found Tupac's murderer.
I heard about that, yeah.
I don't know if my white audience cares about this, but
Yeah, speaking of the 90s, no. Siege Size this was mentioned on Siege Size Afterplay too. No, Siege Size, many kicks that they grew up in the 90s that loved Tupac were owned by one who. Yeah, that was a big story.
Say, well, like I don't know if you guys know the music I'm into. I'm not really a rap fan.
Hey, Tupac's makes some like banger like songs too, like California.
He did. That's why I came out of my.
It's his paradise.
That's why I came out of my.
No, that's Coolio.
Yeah, that's Coolio. That's why I came out of my white music to talk about.
What they can't take, they ruin. Yes, Joey did this to Sarah Dick. Absolutely. And sometimes they do both. They take it and ruin it. Look at like the Black Hills. All nostalgia for a time they never lived in because the memory is like lost. Look,
If Joey's in the chat, how does he feel about the army naming like helicopters after Native American tribes?
Comanche, Mohawks, yeah.
Apache.
Apache. Bet Joey does have some opinions on that as well too. Contact Rats, Tupac was a good looking man, absolutely.
Very symmetrical.
But that's a big story that like Tupac's killer is like found out of this too. I guess it's like one of those things that we kind of like never knew that like we were going to find out, or like it was revealed who Deep Throat was, and like there are those leaks about like Watergate, something like that.
We don't talk. We got to remember in the black community we don't talk to the police, so
no, absolutely.
No one's gonna be like, oh, I know, yeah.
Okay, Joey does say, I loathe that practice, Isaiah, assault and ruins. I totally understand that, yeah. So that's good you put away the grill, K-Rock, because like you don't want to fire hazards too. You know what? Okay, I failed to mention this. For some reason, just because for some people in Japan, just because they're a fan of a certain manga, Rose of Versailles, which takes place in like the Neapolitan France as well, before Marie Antoinette got her head cut off around that time. People in France are nostalgic for France and that time of France because they're fans of that manga and anime. So weird enough, strangely, I guess it is a phenomenon that people can be like nostalgic for things they never experienced, and which is the kind of the flawed thing about nostalgia. It's like rose-tinted classics about like the good times, and it's like again, as many people point out, it's from privileged people that like we're privileged enough to have good times as well too.
I'm going to say this as someone who probably was kind of born privileged. I mean, I do agree with that. I was born in a suburban household.
Yeah.
I mean, my mom was a single mom, but she definitely never like gave off the impression that she was like poor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She single and worked in like a state job, but she never like gave off the impression that she was a single mom or that we were struggling. So you know, like I mean, some like you know, like it was the late '90s. You know, it's like sometimes we would eat pizza, sometimes, and you know, like
Yep.
it was a good time. So like I gotta admit, I do fall into that category.
Yeah. As a serious mind also brought up like last week's Patreon hangout because of the thing is like because racism in this country is worse. So, oh come on, serious mind, you're black and like you're a successful business owner. And to which he brings up, I had to fly in order to get to where you white people can walk. And it's kind of right. Tupac being Black Panther, mad respects there as well. Rest in power, Tupac as well too.
Is mom still alive in Cuba somewhere?
I have to look that up. Honestly,
Asada Shakur.
Yeah.
Asada Shakur is in Cuba.
Tupac's like mother is.
But I don't know if she's his mother.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I just heard the name. I just know who she is, and I just thought.
Her only child is named Kikuya Shakur.
Oh, okay.
So they might be related, but I mean,
Yeah,
it'd be a big coincidence.
I think
Although that Tupac Shakur might have been a stage name chosen in honor of Asada Shakur. For all I know.
I think he was also born in like San Francisco too.
Wouldn't surprise me. But yeah, that was a big story that like Tupac's cures I found out, and like because like that was a big story in the '90s as well. It talked about I guess the '90s nostalgia. Speaking of music too, but yeah, that was like something. That's okay, Mythra. You can't stand hip hop. Some people have their preferences as well, and they just like it's like. I won't call you a racist, Mythra, for me not liking hip hop as word. No. Some people like it's not just.
Well, look at the music I like. What is that? Am I a sellout for the music I like? That's not hip hop.
Oh, black man lusting after white women? No, you're just a stereotype.
Yeah. just like Terry Crews. See,
Asada Shakur is a friend of Afina Shakur and Matulu Shakur, and often described as their son, Tupac Shakur's godmother or step-aunt.
Okay, so there's relations there, but it's just like...
Does Mithra like Irish drill music? Does he like that?
I think he likes...
He's not Irish, he's a Liverpudlian.
He's from the north! Let's see.
So he likes Skittles and beer.
Yeah. Well, I would say to Mithra, like, I wasn't really a hip-hop fan either, so... you don't have to...
Well, Kirok is asking what kind of music do you like, Isaiah?
So I like alternative rock music from like the late '80s or late '80s, early '90s. It's like, so just like Nirvana, but
25 years, your life is still trying to get up this great big hill of hope.
People like Nirvana, people like Pearl Jam, people like that. That's the music.
Kirok says that CCR is my favorite band. That is a good band as well.
Mm-hmm.
Fortunate Son, the most misunderstood song in like almost one of the most misunderstood songs in the whole history. Saw an old video on Instagram of Tupac speaking out against capitalism. I figured that Tupac would be like at those positions as well. Honestly, and again, being like a black man and said like USA's or Benjamin Dixon says, when you're black, you're just generally are progressive as well, and that's less like being like anti-capitalist. Not always.
All of them.
There are a lot of socially regressive black folk out there.
Oh, they are. I would say there's probably a lot more than you think. It's just so like if you go to a black church like I used to go to back then, like I'm sure they weren't really big fans of gay marriage, but they never like used their sermon to basically say that. They basically kept it to themselves. So there's a lot of black folks who are not very progressive, but they don't like wear it as a badge like a lot of the white fundamentalist Christians like.
Yeah.
I mean, what's his name? Clarence Thomas isn't a huge outlier.
Yeah.
He's just the Simon Legree.
Right.
Yeah.
Actually, wasn't Simon Legree the white guy?
I don't remember.
Well, he's a race trader, but
okay, so this is Sandra said some people just don't like hip hop, and it's enough that they can't all be because I'm always like cautious when people tell me that they don't know, to be honest. It's a red flag all too often.
I
Yeah,
put,
but
I put I put it that way. Just because someone doesn't like hip hop, we shouldn't then get into our minds, oh, they must be racist, because that's not fair. That's like
yeah,
me, I don't like hip hop either, but that doesn't make me hate black people or my own people.
yeah, exactly.
Uh,
Uh, now,
Um, yeah, I
I
mean, a lot of people
now
do say they like everything but rap and country, but what that boils down to usually is, yes, classism
class,
and racism.
right?
Um, they're
okay,
not
now,
necessarily Republicans when they say they don't like hip
now
hop or rap,
if
but
they said it to the point where it was like, oh, I just don't like black music, just black music entirely, then it becomes kind of racist. But I mean,
Yeah, you don't like jazz? How dare you?
I met a lot of or they call it like there are ways to like race music, like the way the Nazis
Yeah,
framed jazz music as like race music. If
yeah.
they, if I met someone like that, then I would be a little bit more taken aback. But because there's plenty of white folks who don't like country.
yeah,
But again, that's a class issue.
yeah, agreed.
Yeah,
That was like the country music am not a fan of is usually the country music that's played on the country music radio stations or the classic country music like stuff from Gunnar Cash or like others is where that was like more of a class issue and was very radical is where that I don't have a problem with too.
I mean, country music is also black music.
True.
yeah.
I mean, you listen to country. There's a lot of overlap between country and rock, between country and blues, bluegrass, jazz.
Yeah.
I mean, it
Yeah.
all blends into one another. It's
I agree.
very, very heavily influenced by black communities and black culture.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
you
agree.
listen to
That's-
people in the South. You hear someone talking with a thick Southern accent. If you just hear them over the radio, it's pretty much impossible to tell if it's a poor white man or a poor black man, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Well,
Uh,
so I talk like this, but someone thought that when I talk on the phone, I sound like a white person from up north when I talk.
Yeah, you don't really have a Southern accent.
I feel the exact same way about classics who don't like country music is a red flag to me too. Yeah, exactly. So it's
Yeah.
just like
Like I was
it's,
saying, that's what you usually get from young white kids. I like everything but rap and country.
yeah, exactly. Uh,
So what part of the country do you guys think I sound from?
You sound a bit northern mid-Atlantic, kind of
Yeah.
eastern Pennsylvania to me.
yeah, yeah, that'll go with that too as well.
I thought I sounded like someone from like Washington State or someplace.
Maybe that too. Yeah.
Similar, not too different, honestly. Let's see. Yeah, again, like I said, like the Fortunate Son is the most like misunderstood song ever. So like the Trump and others like playing it. Yeah, I'm not surprised at anger.
Well, my dad wasn't literally a senator, therefore I'm not the fortunate son. Fuck you.
Yeah. Hip hop is my favorite too, but I hate it when I hear it and like some. But I don't hate it when I hear it now. And some songs are really like, yeah, exactly. Like Tech Nine. Some of this I should listen to more of the songs by Tech Nine because I
I'm
think
gonna
his
be
songs are
honest.
very.
When I had a thing for Eminem back in the day because Eminem definitely like reflected a lot of my working class roots. So
Oh yeah.
I
And that's
like
exactly what he was doing was
Yeah.
was the music he grew up with there in Detroit.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we have to like pass the 90-minute mark as well too. So like,
But really quick, I want to point out the 90s nostalgia when the best rapper in the world was white and the best golfer was black.
Yeah.
the 90s.
I don't
Yep,
know.
Vanilla
Tiger
Ice?
Woods.
Oh, Tiger
Eminem
Woods,
and
yes,
Tiger
but,
Woods.
No, Eminem came out in '99, and he was more like he was actually the most successful recording artist ever in the aughts. So I guess late '90s for Eminem. But like when I think of '90s white rapper, it like honestly, in
Vanilla
my
Ice.
mind, it would be Vanilla Ice.
But he was pretty popular for
He
one
was
album.
very popular, and like
Go Ninja, go Ninja, go!
Yes, that's Ninja's Too Secret to Use. I remember that.
Is anyone in the chat Taylor Swift fans?
I've heard some of her songs, and I like
I
them.
enjoy her music.
Yeah.
Her later stuff. Her early stuff was really derivative country
Yeah.
pop.
Ivor Era's poster like around like in my room somewhere. But yeah, if whoever was asking me what my favorite music was it Mithril or who was
I think it
it?
was Kirok.
Okay.
Kirok.
Well, I want to put something in the chat so I can just like here's like a sample of one of my favorite songs I like. So
You posted in our Zoom chat, and Kirok won't be able to like see that. But I'll copy it over.
Oh my god, is
and
this the
put-
Clueless soundtrack?
yes, there you go, Mithro. There you go.
It's okay. So it's just self-worth stuff mostly, something
My
like that.
forgotten
And, like,
favorite by Velocity Girl.
There you go. There you go, Mithro. There's the music I like.
now, speaking of Vanilla Ice, Kirok, Liquid has actually said will stand by Vanilla Ice and said no, he's a good recording artist and a good performer. And Liquid's seen Vanilla Ice on stage and thinks it like and will stand by the Vanilla Ice is a good recording artist. But
He
again,
was very cheesy. He was very emblematic of white guys in the early 90s. And also, he totally ripped off Under Pressure.
Yes, that's the thing. Why? If he just if he just like admit that he sampled Queens Under Pressure, we never had a problem with it. But he was just so adamant. That
No.
he did it.
See, that was dun 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 da dun dun. What I did was dun 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 da dun dun.
There you go. 90s nostalgia. Vanilla Ice. Go to
All right. It's been 100 minutes. We should go.
So Isaiah Taylor, you have your two YouTube channels of Sinister Intelligence and the Autistic Modeling Society. You have your Instagram, IsaiahTaylor.90 or .60. Trying to remember which one it is.
.60.
.60. And like yes. Oh, let me just like repost like the things to like give money to Phoenix and to Joanna and to Joey. Please share those things as much as possible. If you have the means to do so and have the capability to do so, yes, give money to them as well because they'll definitely need it. I'm a Summer Geek on like YouTube. I haven't posted a video in months. Twitter. I'm on Blue Sky. I also have 2 invite codes for Blue Sky right now. So, okay, yeah, I'll probably send you one. I'll probably send the next one. Either Joey, you, or to like Phoenix is where if you like either of you like needed the code. Phoenix is not here. I'll probably send an invite code to like her. But I'll get more invite codes next week as well too. And
Hey, Bonrak.
Hey, Von Rack, thank you for jumping in and saying hi. Our patrons, let's thank our patrons quickly. Von Rack, Tim. Isaiah, what you were saying?
No, I was saying, did Julie get married? Sorry if I interrupted.
She did, yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
2 weeks ago.
Did. Yes.
Right.
To a very beautiful man that looks like Jesus, that would accurately look like Jesus if he was alive in the desert, as it were, too. Because he's a beautiful, like, brown man from Morocco.
He's a beautiful.
And Muslim.
Mhm.
Yes. With beard and all,
Wait,
too. and short
Morocco?
hair.
I thought it was Algerian.
No, I think he's
But
from Morocco.
I could easily be misremembering. Yeah.
Maybe, but like anyway. So,
I'm
yeah,
just
Julie
thinking
did-
because France used to own Algiers.
Oh, that could be it too, as well. Too.
Yeah.
So yes, and so taking our patrons: Monrack, Tim, Joe, the Kama Sutra Scholar, which by the way, thank you, Contact Us for mentioning it. That like Kama Sutra Scholar has a show tonight, so like check out the Kama Sutra Scholar as well. So Staff Noise, the Fuck Boys, Flora, Marty, and I think that's everyone. I thank everyone. Thank you for our patrons as well. Yeah, I'm probably actually not going to stream tonight on Twitch because again, I got this new PC and I had to set up OBS, and I think honestly I wanted like to take a break and just like have the relax fully today and just like be on my own. I will mention that on social media as well too. But John Brockman, you're part of another podcast, aren't you?
Indeed, I am. Dungeons and Debacles. We will be recording tonight. Booyah.
Yes.
And I'm going to go ahead and recommend another series of books. Dungeon Crawler Carl. It is very, very anti-capitalist.
Nice.
Yep. It's a lit RPG, meaning that it's like an RPG, but it's the actual physics of the universe are the rules of the RPG, the computer RPG type of thing. Irreverent, funny, and thoroughly, thoroughly anti-capitalist and anti-imperial. the third book in the series is the Dungeon Anarchist Cookbook.
Brilliant, wonderful, love it.
Yes.
There's a link to the Comic Stitcher Squadron. Don't forget to check out Erin and all of her videos and her stuff and so on too. And then no Fluid Voice tonight. Fluid Voice is still on hiatus, but check out the old shows on Fluid Voice for one of our friends, Osmond and Dark as well, as well as Osmond and Dark's channel as well.
And I'm gonna let Karma Sutra read my script, some of it, so she can, I guess, comment on it or something.
All right.
Yeah.
Charity links that page to again give to more people as well. Like Jason Hardy's GoFundMe is in there as well. A friend of Steve Shies as well, who has heart failure. It's but do take care of yourselves. Don't overextend yourselves as we're.
Remember, mutual aid includes self-care.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody.
I'll see you guys next Sunday.
Yep. Oh, next Sunday's a Patreon hangout.
Yeah, it's so quick.